Hey, what's up? This is anodized aluminium here. Techwear is often known for the high prices of individual items because of those high-performance outerwear pieces, and if you're making something from a high-performance material combined with the complex patterning and articulation you need to create something that both looks good and is comfortable to wear, often you'll find retail prices for things like that in the hundreds of dollars plus. However, Gore-Tex jackets are not necessarily essential, and I certainly don't think that every single item of Techwear clothing needs to be extremely expensive. This week we're looking at a range of essentials or accessories which will suit this style and allow you to bring some of that Techwear aesthetic into your own style or into your wardrobe without needing to dive headfirst into 100% acronym. I'm also hoping it will get you to consider more the idea of identifying something that is particularly cool to you and focusing more on that than feeling the pressure to buy yourself an entire #Techwear outfit at once. One of the key ways of getting some of this cool stuff cheaper is, of course, keeping your eye on any potential discounts, and that is where today's sponsor, Karma, comes in. This is going to be particularly handy with Black Friday coming around the corner because you might find some of those things that you really like available for less. As we'll discuss a bit later in this video, I definitely plan on saving some cool sneakers in the hope that they end up going on sale, whether they be some interesting collabs or some less hyped models that kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. And I'll be there to scoop some of those up. So let's say you manage to find yourself something cooler than the Minions and Instapumps collab. Here's how Karma works. First thing you want to do is install yourself the Chrome browser button. It takes about a minute to do, and if you're doing the any percent speedrun, I bet you can do it even faster. Once that's done, you can rock up to your favorite retailer and browse products as you would do normally, but use Karma to save them for you by hitting the little button that will pop up on the right, which you can drag around if you need. Hit that, save things in your preferred size and colour, and be notified either by email or push notification when they come back into stock or go on sale. Perhaps more importantly, you can organise things into dedicated lists for more effective planning, whether that be for upcoming sneakers that you might want to pick up or some interesting Lego sets. Karma can also scan for coupons when you go to buy stuff, potentially saving you some more dollars when you're shopping on desktop. Another cool thing is on select retailers, Karma gives you cash back and donates to a chosen cause on your behalf, so you get to feel good as well as save yourself some money. If that sounds interesting, please do check out the link in the description, give it a go and let me know if you find it useful. Now let's go ahead and check out some interesting Techwear things at non-wallet destroying prices. Something I've mentioned before is the importance of accessories in getting across that more technical or utilitarian look. And this is a great way we can save ourselves some cash because not only, of course, are luxury accessories a lot cheaper than luxury jackets or cargos, but because there are plenty of more affordable brands and options that can still do a lot of work here. So yeah, you could drop $200 on the acronym NG4 this season, and great, you've got yourself some acronym for a mere $200. But there are plenty of balaclavas and neck gaiters and things like that too. I bought this green fleece one from Amazon a very long time ago. I think it cost me about £4, and okay, it does look a little bit basic, but it does the job. It keeps your face and neck a bit warmer, and it interacts nicely with hoods and layers and stuff like that. Loads of outdoor retailers will carry neck gaiters which can be worn across the face, and there are loads of balaclava options as well, which, although maybe a little bit over the top for everyday wear, are definitely still an option if you're feeling a little bit more edgy. Masks are of course pretty commonplace and something that I've covered previously in dedicated videos, but I would definitely recommend checking out something reusable and with a more unusual design because, well, they do take pride of place on your face, so they can certainly communicate a lot about the kind of style that you're interested in and the kind of thing that you're wearing. Sportswear brands can be quite good for this because their masks tend to be designed for higher output activities, so they might have a more robust securing mechanism or be a little bit more protective or bigger on the face. These kinds of things might be more expensive than a regular mask, but still quite affordable if we're thinking fashion and Techwear accessories. One of the things that I came across was this Nike Ventura mask. This one is definitely at the top end of mask prices. It was something like £45 on the UK website, but has this really cool, unique look. I've never seen it before, and it comes in a little protective case with extra straps and things like that as well. I'm going to save this one in case the larger sizes come back in stock, because I think something like this could easily make an outfit look very performance focused and futuristic. Okay, masks and neck gaiters might seem a little bit obvious here, less so though are more military derived items of neckwear. First up, check out the scrim, also known as a net scarf or a mesh scarf. This is primarily designed for camouflage, so it's something you can wear around your neck, but then when you need it, pull the whole thing over your face, and because it's made of mesh, you can still see through it fairly easily. They're also used as light protection for equipment, or in a pinch you can use them as a net to help carry stuff. And okay, you're probably not going to use a lot of those functionality aspects, but these do tend to be quite big, so you can really use them as a nice layering or textural element in an outfit. You're making that tactical reference at a pretty low cost. Camo versions of this are of course very milsurp looking, but they do come in black as well, which is a little bit cooler, a bit more under the radar. I think these are underused as a fashion item. There are only really a few examples of someone wearing something like this in a fashion or a techwear context. Crucially too, being netting, it's far cooler than a standard scarf, meaning that you can wear something like this in far warmer conditions. Any normal situation where having a scarf on would be totally inappropriate, well, you can still get away with something like this to add detail to an outfit. In a similar vein, try a shamag as well. This is something that has been picked up a little bit more in fashion circles. I have an Aoku one, for example, which I think is really cool, but these are not difficult to find from military retailers and more affordable places. In a similar vein to the mesh scarf or the scrim, these are not particularly warm. They're designed more for wind or even for sun protection, and can be worn over the head or across the face. Again, it's a good option for retaining that layered look in warmer weather where a scarf or a neck gaiter would be inappropriate and too hot and sweaty. This isn't a face accessories video though, so let's look a little bit broader. I still think Uniqlo are the fast fashion retailer of choice when it comes to more technically minded clothing. There are quite a few recent and upcoming collabs that help reinforce that. Firstly, a collab with White Mountaineering brings some performance elements to the brand and a pretty cohesive collection designed for all-purpose wear to a relatively affordable price point. If you like the engineered garments fleeces from a couple of years ago, then you might find something of interest here in the form of the White Mountaineering ones. The jacket is also worth a look, although apparently it's pretty oversized, so do keep that in mind. Uniqlo U is the brand's collaboration with Christophe Lemaire. They've had quite a few seasons now, and the big thing to look out for here, I feel, is the oversized Airison t-shirt. It's a really nice material versus a standard cotton, and that oversized fit with the long arms just perfectly suits some of those more unusual proportions that you'll find in techwear. I will happily wear this alongside my acronym P30s, for example, and I think the two interact pretty nicely. There's also Uniqlo Plus J dropping at the end of the month, a collab with Jill Sander, and that's the same Jill Sander that just released a collab with Arc'teryx. A lot of the pieces in this collection are a little bit more low-key, maybe more than some people would like, but there are some quietly technical things in here, and it's a way of getting some of that Jill Sander aesthetic at a far more affordable price than their mainline stuff. One or two pieces I think could be styled with techwear in mind. You've got the two-tone oversized parka, down insulated, so it can be nice and warm. I think that paneling detailing does make it look pretty cool. And you've got an insulated MA1 as well, which has this slight kind of shiny finish to it, especially in that dark grey carbon sort of color. Does have some aesthetic similarity with Gore-Tex Infinium, which you do see in some utilitarian, technically minded pieces. And personally, I found the price performance of Uniqlo to be pretty good overall, so I feel like they're a relatively safe option as far as this kind of price point goes. Sneakers are an important part of any outfit, and the main way that you're going to be interacting with the world around you, unless you float around Doctor Strange style. I think people feel that they have to spend a lot of money here, either to get some kind of hyped up collaboration that is going to catch attention, or to get some recent Gore-Tex release that has all these performance elements. But in reality, I don't necessarily think that's the case at all. Getting a comfy, decent quality pair of shoes is super important. That's something we'll talk about in next week's video. But sportswear brands carry stuff at a whole range of prices, and once you move out of the kind of hyped collaborations and stuff, it's not uncommon for things to hit the sales and end up a lot cheaper than you'll find them at retail. Plenty of techwear outfits or cool images use relatively non-hyped or more unusual sneaker releases. I really think it's a chance for you to put your own stamp on this kind of look, rather than subscribing to a kind of preset techwear checklist of particular shoes that you need to have with this kind of style. Just having a quick look on End, as they tend to have a pretty big sale section, 25% off the Converse and Rick Owens Turbo Dorks The white ones, I feel like these were underrated because a lot of people went for the black ones, but I do find that these were a lot nicer in hand and seeing them on outfits than just the product pictures, which I think didn't really do them justice. And the New Balance 2002 are in white. Streetwear fans went crazy for the protection pack which came out earlier this year, and yes, this model is lacking that kind of reconstructed aesthetic that those ones boasted, but it's the same model, so there's definitely an aesthetic similarity there. I think these would also be a really good candidate for trying to dye these yourself and getting some really cool look there, because these are quite a complex shoe. There's a lot of panels, there's a lot of different like technical looking elements here. Make yourself your own BBS Bambas. Black Friday is definitely going to be a fruitful time when it comes to sneakers, so if you've got any particular models that you really like that you'd be interested in picking up, then keep those in mind, save them for later, anything like that, and when those hit the sales, maybe I'll be able to get yourself some kind of high performance or some really interesting shoe at a bit of a bargain price. How else can we use cheaper things to elevate what we're doing? Bags and carry goods can often be extremely expensive in this space, and even the affordable alternatives that people like to talk about a lot, Orbit Gear for example, some of their full-featured messenger bags will happily take you over $200. Well, instead of looking at cheaper still or more cut-down versions of those sorts of bags, why not consider something a little bit smaller? Sacoche and Musette bags are a really good example of this, and yes, they might lack some of the storage potential and those multi-pocket arrays that you'll find on some of those big 30-litre messenger bags, but they add an extra dimension to your look, they give you some space to carry some more items, and they are cheaper than their full-featured brethren. You could check out a dedicated bag retailer like Carry Lab in the UK, which stock a whole bunch of different brands, or have a look at a more dedicated community like Gear Patrol or the Many Baggers subreddit, where there'll be all kinds of reviews and recommendations of things that you could check out at an aesthetic and a price point that appeals to you. Outside of this, I found Topology have a few cool options that you might like, including this fairly unique chalk bag. Sacra are a brand that I've mentioned before quite some time ago. They're still around making some more affordable sling bags and smaller things like that. And if there's a particular brand you like, why not check out the second-hand market, because a lot of these better quality things are going to last a very long time, so we'll probably still have a lot of life in them, and it's a chance to get something that you really want at a more affordable price. Just having a quick look on Grailed recently, I saw Corbin was getting rid of an Orbit Gear sling bag at under $100, so that could be a pretty cost-effective way of getting some technical aesthetics and functionality into your wardrobe and work quite nicely with a bunch of different outfits. And if you're into the more military or tactical stuff, you don't have to restrict yourself to fashion or techwear brands. There are plenty of military retailers, or even Amazon to be honest, which will have those kinds of MOLLE equipped accessories at fairly affordable prices. Again, it's an easy way to experiment with those kinds of looks or pick up some kind of interesting pouch to elevate something that you already own without breaking the bank. I would avoid things like plate carriers and leg holsters because I just think they're a little bit too costumey looking, but there are plenty of alternatives outside of those. Just searching online for military bags or tactical bags or accessories will yield plenty of results, and a bunch of different retailers that you could check out depending on what country you're in. One thing we haven't mentioned too much is the pure performance side of things, because aesthetics are one thing, we also do want some elevated functionality in our clothing. And yes, high performance outerwear is often quite expensive, but what about those next to skin items? Some of those things are definitely overlooked, especially when it comes to underwear, because let's face it, nobody is tagging their boxer brand on Instagram. Merino wool clothing is great for underwear and base layers. Plenty of luxury techwear brands like Valence and Outlier and Nexural make use of this material. It's really comfy, it looks good, it's odor resistant, and being a natural material, they tend to breathe quite well as well. But it's not just fashion brands making use of this, you'll find outdoor gear brands using merino wool clothing as well. So going in that direction is a chance to get some of that performance at a more reasonable cost than buying a whole wardrobe full of Valence frame tees. I have a pair of Icebreaker boxers as well, which I really like precisely because of all of those great characteristics. And yes, merino boxers are more expensive than regular ones, but if we're talking technical clothing pickups, this is still a sub $50 way of elevating your outfit and just making you a little bit more comfortable. Plus they do look pretty good as well. I was also kindly sent recently by Techwear some Reigning Champ tees, which one of them I'm wearing right now, made from Techwear Delta, which has this really nice woven texture, very, very comfortable next to skin, and yeah, really good from that moisture wicking perspective as well. Again, definitely premium price t-shirts, there's no getting around that, but when plenty of brands will charge more just for putting their logo on there, I feel like something like this is much more reasonable in that you're getting that elevated functionality that other brands are not necessarily going to offer you. We'll talk more about some of this stuff in a future video because there's a lot more to talk about there, and there's plenty more items we can talk about as well, but something I thought was worth mentioning. Even Uniqlo Airism, as I mentioned before, definitely falls into that category of elevated functionality and high comfort, and those t-shirts come in about $15 each. As a final thought, I won't go too far into detail about Techwear belts and key-based accessories. They're both topics that we've covered in quite some detail on the channel before, and while Cobra buckles and fidlock buckles are still fairly popular, very much part of the Techwear uniform, they are, like many things, certainly not an essential item. A lot of outdoor brands will do webbing belts with metal hook style buckles, which will still work perfectly fine in this style. Arc'teryx and Patagonia to name a few, but there are of course loads more, and they tend to come in significantly cheaper than Cobra branded or fidlock branded equivalents. If you are specifically after Cobra or fidlock belts though, there are plenty of brands that will do those, so definitely worth searching the actual buckle brand, and you'll probably find loads of results. Just off the top of my head, when we're talking fidlock, we've got Snow Peak, Comfy Outdoor Garments, Gorilla Group. I think all of those guys have recently come out with new fidlock things you could check out. An important thing to remember though is the width of these. I feel like generally the 1-inch versions are preferred because they're more likely to fit your average belt loops, whereas the 1.5-inch versions, yeah sure, they're nice and big and chunky, but you might actually struggle to get them on some of your pants. They're also a relatively easy thing to make yourself because you can buy those buckles from military retailers just by themselves. You can buy the webbing to make the belt, and then it only takes a couple of stitches to turn that into a fully functioning belt with exactly the specifications you want, and that is definitely the cheapest way of getting a belt with that kind of buckle. Not too difficult to do apparently either, so I definitely recommend giving that a go if you so desire. I hope collectively those things gave you some ideas, lots of ways of incorporating technical elements into outfits without having to spend 4-figure sums. I'd also say, as a more general point, and I do tend to say this a lot, is don't feel pressured when you want to change your style to buy an entire new wardrobe or even an entire new outfit at once. Find something that you really like, maybe a belt, new pair of sneakers, maybe even a jacket, and just see how you like it, see how it integrates into your style and what you like about it, because doing that in a more measured and more considered way is definitely going to help you make smarter buying decisions and prevent you from buying like 5 things at once and then turns out you only really long-term like 1 or 2 of them. That's a money-saving tip right there. And don't forget to check out Karma if you think that sounds interesting. There's a link in the description so you can go and check it out. Quite a few options there. I know you guys have been keen to see more affordable stuff on the channel, so I really hope you found this valuable. Let me know if there was any particular one that stuck out to you, and if you've got any more suggestions of ways of more cheaply integrating cool technical or utilitarian items into your style or into an outfit, then definitely add them to the comments, because that's going to be super helpful for any other Techwear fans who happen to be there browsing. Anyway, thanks so much for enjoying the video. Well, hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like, because that is much appreciated. And of course, as always, we will see you next week with another video. Shout out to Monkey Pants One, big fan of Maharishi, definitely agree, works really, really well with streetwear stuff. And shout out to KAR, hopefully this video was the kind of thing that you were after. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to catch some more, there's going to be links going up at the top, and if you haven't subscribed yet, then please do consider doing so, because the road to 100k, believe it or not, is nearing the end. So yeah, massively appreciate your continued support on the channel. It really does mean a lot. So we got some fun stuff coming up next week for sure. I think you guys are going to like that, and then after that, who knows? But yeah, stay tuned.